Let me get on this screen. And by the way, Aidan, I got kids, I got dogs, and my better half may tell me may come in as well. She never does, but just as an FYI, it's a pretty busy household here. So this is professional, man, just like you and Brett. It doesn't get much more professional than this. All right, cool. So I think let's just make sure we are live. I know they got that 15-second. All right, cool, man. All right, my friends. So we are live. Yes, we are. Good. And this is kind of a emergency live stream, if you will. But I'm introducing Aidan Kearney from Worcester, Massachusetts. All right. Got to monetize this. Yes, ma'am. So one of my subscribers just told me not forget to monetize. Thanks, Kim. Aidan is the guy is the toughest guy on the internet, the most censored guy on the internet. I know Steve Crowder and all these guys say they are. Nobody comes close to Aidan. I frankly don't know how Aidan goes through his life. We're going to go into this because it's nuts. The level of vitriol towards this guy, just for speaking literally truth to power, it's insane. And some people say, "Oh, but he says some mean things." Oh my goodness, it's nuts how many people I'm like, we have a country that is being stolen from us, and you're worried about the way some guy talks. It's nuts, and we don't have time for that crap. And anyway, the reason I asked Aidan to come on, been a big follower of his for a long time. Well, 2 years or so now. And the way the guy fights back is the way anyone in the conservative movement, never mind the Republican Party so much, needs to do it too. The cancel culture is here, whether we like it or not. We need to cancel them back. And Aidan is the only one doing that I can see. No one else is doing it. Everyone else is like, let's just get along with people who want to send you the gulag. So, Aidan, welcome aboard, man. I'm so stoked to have you here. Much obliged, sir.
Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. Aidan, I'm going to set this up on this side. Well, just tell us, the audience here, a little bit about you. I got tons of questions asked, but just give us the cliff notes of your background, would you please?
I don't even know where that takes about an hour, so I'll give you the super cliff notes. I write a blog. I expose controversial people doing controversial things, and I don't censor myself in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. I express my true feelings about people. A lot of people don't like it. The vast majority of people do. That's why it's grown and why it's popular.
Yep.
And I've been able to create unique enemies that really no other media outlet or personality or even conservative can compare to. The people that I piss off, the people that try to censor me. Like you mentioned, Steven Crowder. Like Steven Crowder doesn't know censorship. I've been getting censored since before it was cool, since before Trump. Like, believe me, I started this whole thing. I made a big stink about it. Nobody listened, and now they're all whining and crying about it while liberals take over the internet. So,
100%, man. That's it's kind of like that stuff with Evergreen College with those guys, you know what I'm saying, up there. And everyone's like, well, it's just on college, and now it's here. Like, man, don't take my jobs. You see, if people haven't been paying attention, they think they can play nice with these people who are literally communists, and you can't play nice with commies. And you're the only guy doing it, man. And I just you're still standing. That's pretty cool. I mean, you're still standing. It's nuts.
Well, they call it cancel culture, but it's really not. It's like, I understand that they're canceling you from one thing, but when one thing closes, another door opens, and that's where you have to look at it. Is there is a market out there for there's a reason that Steven Crowder has I think it's the second highest subscribed to show on our political show on YouTube. It's because there's a market for that, right? Tucker Carlson has the highest rated cable TV show in history because there's a market for that, because people want to hear these things. So no matter how hard they try to cancel you or take away your sponsors or whatever, there are still millions of people out there who are thirsty to hear the things that you're saying. They want to hear it. They want to know that they're not alone. They want to know that there's other people out there like them, and that the things that they're thinking in their head are completely normal. And so that's why they can't silence me, because the people want it. And no matter, I don't care how it's done. If I get kicked off YouTube, there will be another streaming service that it won't be as popular, but we'll figure it out. People that want to hear it will hear it, period.
Yeah. And a lot of people do, because they're friggin' pissed off that, this is what made Trump come to, look, I was a conservative. I was like, I don't know if I trust Trump, but he was saying exactly, I said, I don't even care. he's the only guy fighting back. Yeah, I mean, everyone else is like, oh, let's go on Jake Tapper and stuff. And Trump's like sticking to him. I was like, thank the good Lord that someone's finally doing it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, he's not even the best messenger for it, but he was the only guy out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if he did something in 4 years with the power. Like, that would have been nice instead of whining, like, ironically using Twitter to whine about Twitter. Yeah. And then the whole time he could have just gone to Parler and millions of people would have followed him. He had the ability to seriously change that, and he did nothing but whine about it for 4 years. And here we are. That's
actually, I take some heat. Some of my folks follow me on YouTube because they think Trump is coming. I hope, like you, I hope he does not run again in 20. Look, I like him. I hope I wish him the best, but I don't want to see that guy run again.
I just wonder why people think the outcome would be different.
Yeah,
like that's what I don't get. What would make you think the outcome would be different?
Well, it's like, wait a second, man. This is what I tell people. Like, we are in the most anti-freedom society in America since the internment camps, and it was under Trump. Trump was it. And they said, well, you got Charlie Baker, I got Brian Kemp here in Georgia. Well, a lot of these are Republican governors too. I mean, and it started from the top and went down. And you can't say that Trump was for freedom when we are the most unfree that we've ever been for, since the internment camp.
Oh, he handed over the keys to the kingdom to Dr. Fauci, and here we are. That's what happens.
Actually, it occurred to me where I found you. That's what I just want to talk to you about this, because it wasn't that as long ago as I thought. Now is Outkick did the thing on I think it's Charlie Coyle. And I'm from Maine. I love the bees. Yeah, and I that ass clown, not Charlie, but the guy, whoever that guy was in the Bruins,
Matt Chimura, the guy that made the call to do that.
Well, so folks, what happened was they was shooting baskets like in the Canadiens locker room or something like that.
No, so they were in Toronto at the that's where their bubble was in Toronto. Yeah. And so they were up there and they were taking shooting them around, whatever, just in between games. And they took pictures of the Bruins and they're wearing this Boston BPD hockey shirts, right? Because the Bruins have a partnership with Boston Police Hockey. They do a lot of charity work together, stuff like that. And they took the picture. And then they put the pictures up on Instagram and Twitter, and the Bruins, somebody in Bruins management, photoshopped out BPD hockey. That was an intentional thing. Like, we are ashamed to be associated with the police. And I got alerted to this. I read a story about it. I find out the guy who did it. I put him on blast. I find out some other emails that he's written from his town complaining about landscaping companies like that. And that's the kind of news that the Boston Globe's not going to report, that nobody's going to report, but it's news. Sorry.
And that guy's a scumbag, and I imagine he's still in the front office of the Bees. I'm just saying, this is the kind of stuff that is out there that no one else is talking about, but it's crazy, man. It's like, what? This is a big deal. The Boston Police Department is being, in this case, blacked out by the Boston Bruins. It wasn't even from Black Lives Matter. It's from the hockey.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the Black Lives Matter thing, is that it wasn't just activists on the ground. Like, it was embraced by corporate America.
Yeah.
Every Pepsi, like, you can't turn on Netflix without being lectured about Black Lives Matter. Budweiser wouldn't even freaking advertise at the Super Bowl this year because of Black Lives Matter. It's like these major multi-billion-dollar corporations got in bed with this Marxist group, ironically. And that is why, like, you started seeing stuff like this. And people always said, oh, it's just in college campuses. Yeah, no. Just the radicalness is in college campuses. Well, guess what? They all graduated. And now they're in corporate America. And now they're running the show. So what are you going to do now?
That's the issue. And that's where we have to fight, like what you're doing, Aidan, is you're fighting to cancel them back, to say we're not just going to try to play nice. We have to make sure they feel some heat and pain.
It's the new resistance.
It's got to be.
I mean, we are the new resistance movement. And as soon as Biden came to power, I realized, like, this guy is going to be 1 million times more radical and liberal than Barack Obama could ever dream to be. Because unlike Barack Obama, Joe Biden's not calling the shots. At least Barack Obama was his own man. Joe Biden doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Nobody in the world knows right now who's running the country. I don't know who's making him sign these executive orders that he doesn't know what the hell transgender athletes in sports is. He doesn't understand any of this stuff. He's just signing it. Somebody else is just pulling the strings. So watch out.
He didn't know. He literally doesn't know what's going on. And the crazy thing is, at least we could have held Obama accountable. But now it's like everyone knows that Joe's knocked me around in 2 years. And who do you hold accountable if they're the under the cover of darkness and the halls of D.C.? It's scary. It's scary. All right, so you but here's what you get some, like, I think you had posted something on TV. So TB Daily News, my friends, TB Daily News, and we'll screenshot share and all that. You had posted something about some lady griping about being she was getting the chick from New York Times. Oh my goodness, Tucker Carlson.
Taylor Lorenz.
But you had posted some of the stuff that people say to you, Aidan, and I'm like, how the hell do you just go to the grocery store? I mean, it's not hard to find. You're in Round. I know where the town you live in, but it's not hard to find where does Aidan live, and how do you? I've always wondered that. How do you freaking how do you go out and walk your dog? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because
I don't worry about it in the least bit whatsoever. I've always said I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now. I've had a grand total of 0 people show up at my house to confront me. I've had a lot of people talk shit online, like tell me I'm gonna. Like that message I posted the other day, that woman messages me on a semi-daily basis and tells me she's going to cut my 3-year-old son's face off and feed him to the crows, all this shit. And I'm like, well, you know where I live. Please come see me. I'm a proud Second Amendment man. I'm begging you, come over for tea sometimes. What is wrong with you pussies? But none of them ever do, because that's one thing that we need to realize about the world that we're living in right now. All these quote unquote death threats that you're getting, they ain't nothing more than words on a computer screen. They only have the power that the person sending them wants to have. You don't have to give them that power. That's it. You can block them, you can fuck with them, or you can just say, come on over. Dinner's at 6. See you then. And then
when you first started getting that stuff, you were like, oh, man. I mean, that had to be initially, you had to be frightened, because you've been doing this for a while, like you said. Your first couple, you must have been scared, right? I mean, it's hard for, don't take this wrong, but normal people, they don't want to be hated like that. I mean, how did you get the tough skin to begin with?
Well, my first death threat was like earlier on, like 2014, 2015. I wrote about these gangbangers in Fitchburg. It's a town, city, a couple miles from me. And, they were, I forget what they were doing. They're saying some stupid shit on the internet about there was a shooting up there. And it was all like, he's such a good kid, blah, blah, blah. He was a drug dealer. Okay. He got and I told it like it was. I'm like, yeah, when you sell drugs in Fitchburg, you get shot. Okay. That's it. This isn't like, don't sell drugs in Fitchburg and you won't get shot. And all these people were like, you disrespected my boy, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we're going to come get you. And like, I was genuinely worried because I'd never been threatened like that before. And you could find out who I was, even though I was quote unquote anonymous.
Right.
And, nobody came. And that was my reality here. Like, why didn't anybody come? Oh yeah, because nobody's going to catch a charge. Nobody's going to go to jail for murder because some blogger, like, that's not worth. I'm not a gangster or anything, but I watch enough of The Wire to understand gangster code. Like, you don't just kill journalists. That's not a thing. You don't kill bloggers because they were mean to you. You can talk a big game all you want, but nobody ever, ever, ever does it. And I'm honestly disappointed. They let me down. That's all I gotta say. Come on.
Crazy, man, because I'm sitting there thinking that's some ballsy stuff there, and reading some of this hate, the visceral, and I'm just like, I mean, and this is what people ask me, hey, on your YouTube channel, what do you do with negative comments? I'm like, dude, you don't even know negative comments until you follow this guy, and I guess I don't care. I'm just like, whatever. I'm 50 years old, Aidan. I just don't care, but. I don't have people coming in. I actually had one guy. He was kind of creepy, actually. And I said, yeah, that was kind of creepy. And I said, that's the first time it was a little bit over the top, so I screenshotted it. But, again, nothing really came of it. But I think about that guy, James Hodgkinson. You remember him who shot up the Senate or the congressional Republican?
Oh, yeah. People forget about the radicalized Bernie bro.
He was a Bernie bro.
People forget about, yeah.
And he said, this is for taking away my health care. That's right, Aidan.
Which, by the way, Trump is always responsible for the worst element amongst his, 74 million voters. He's responsible for the worst behavior amongst them. But somehow Bernie is not responsible when he tells you, see those guys out there, Steve Scalise, Rand Paul, they're trying to kill you by taking you out there. You better kill them. He literally said that they're trying to kill you. And so a deranged individual hears that and they're like, well, I'll kill them first.
Well, that's what he said. He said, "This is for trying to take my health care." You're like, dude, that's what Bernie. It's nuts. But that's the kind of thing. There's some crazy people. Literally insane people out there. But it's just kind of funny that somehow and again, the gangbangers. They got more important fish to fry. Another reason why. Well, that's one of the things that actually frustrates me too. A lot of people say there's so much crime in the streets. So like, if you stay away from areas, you're going to be fine in the United States, man. Just give me a break. The crime is sad I hate to say it's sad for poor black kids who got no escape. That's what actually ticks me off is no one cares about poor black kids who are stuck in these communities with bullets flying all over the head. And no one cares, but they act like they do. Chicago, no one cares. No one cares.
A lot of those kids get recruited into it at a young age. They don't have male influences in their life. So they're growing up and they're 14. They're living in poverty. And the coolest guy in the block that is the flashiest things. Yeah. He sells drugs and you can be his runner for him. And once they got you for life. You're in the game and you're not getting out of it. Like the average life expectancy is probably like 28 years old selling drugs.
No one cares. That's the thing.
Nobody cares.
Now you were a high school teacher? I
was a high school teacher for 11 years. Correct.
Did you see a lot of this? Is something that's always. I got 4 kids, Aidan, and so my wife's got 8 brothers and sisters. Irish Catholic and the whole thing, but but both. Did you? It was different back then when my dad wasn't around, but other dads were around, if that made sense. And those days are gone. Did you see that when you were teaching high school, that young men in particular without a dad would just kind of be, you could just tell they're going the wrong direction. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, well, so I taught at 2 high schools. I was at the school in Worcester, which is like, it's where I grew up, but it's a city. It's like, it's got a lot of urban problems.
Yeah.
And then I taught at this school in the suburbs called Shepherd Hill. And it's completely different worlds I was living in. Worcester, it was at a reform school. None of those kids knew their dads, right? And it's sad to see. A lot of them live in foster homes, or they feel unloved, and angry. Like all this hard shit you see from kids like that, like tough guy, that breaks down in a second, and it turns into tears real quick. And I've seen it many, many times before from these kids that lash out on you. They're like, yo, whack ass bitch. Kids used to tell me all the time, yo, whack ass bitch, I ain't doing your whack ass homework. Get the fuck out of here. That kid's having a bad day. Something traumatic happened to him the night before, and he's just taking it out on you. And that's why you realize, like, this isn't personal. He doesn't care about me. I'm just the guy. I'm the male who's actually in his life, who's here every day. And so then you go to Shepherd Hill. And remember my first day at Shepherd Hill, I said, all right, guys, we're going to do assigned seating, right? And then they all just did it.
Right.
And I'm like, nobody's going to complain or tell me how whack I am. And they said, why would we do that? You're the teacher. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I am. I'm in charge of this class. Right. You guys do what I say. It was a completely different world. And those kids are growing up in homes where they're taught respect and values and whatnot. And that's how it plays out.
Is there any... it friggin' kills me because I'm sitting there. Then the wealthy whites want to mimic that crap from the the gangster stuff, and I'm just the white kids, and I'm just I don't understand. I just don't get it, man. Like they have so much wealth, so much affluence that they want to mimic that and act like. And but they're not. I don't know, man. Because there are kids who can't escape that, you know what I'm saying? And they're always going to be like in that position because there's no one there like you to be at least one male. And then you got other kids who think that's cool. And it's just nuts to me, man. And it breaks my heart because we can't rescue these kids these kids can't be rescued because there's no one there for them. I don't know what
but it's sad to see. It's really tragic because they put on this front that makes you not like them initially because they're just being jerks and assholes. Yeah. But you're like, this is just them lashing out because they're sad about their lives. Like they see other kids, they see kids from the suburbs, how they're living, and they see that like, oh man, they want to be held accountable. Nobody's ever told them no.
Right.
Nobody's ever, and they want to be told. Kids have a desire to be told no, believe it or not, to have like structure in their lives. And a lot of them just aren't getting it. And they're like, why isn't anybody telling me no? They must not love me. And it's to an extent, it's true. And they're like, it's a natural human emotion to want to be loved and like have structure in your life. And these kids don't have it.
And then even worse, and then you get the Black Lives Matter Marxists, coming in and saying, we're going to, help you. And they literally could care less, as they said in their own website. So you got, the whites in the suburbs don't care. And not that the whites need to care about poor. I get it. But there's just empty. And I'm not just talking about black. I'm just talking about young men in general who are just being raised with no father figure around, and they're inherently going to kind of. Given, and you have experience with that as a high school teacher. Never mind, obviously the many people you teach. And then you got these clowns from Black Lives Matter. But the thing is, as white guys,
one of the things that Black Lives Matter wants in their declaration is the abolishment of the nuclear family. The nuclear family is one of the strongest forces in keeping Western civilization together. It is the foundation of Western civilization. Of course, they want to abolish it because they hate Western civilization, because they're a Marxist organization. And in a Marxist organization, there is no nuclear family. There is just the state. There is no religion. There is just the state. And that they're literally mocking and putting together, holding mass demonstrations, right? Making idols. This is what Marxists do. And that's important to realize. Like, this is a Marxist organization, and they're just being embraced by corporate America. That's what makes them so dangerous.
And then oh my goodness. And I'm sitting there thinking there's some white teacher up in, with a rich area of Worcester, whatever, that you had posted about, who's, big Black Lives Matter, this, Black Lives Matter, this. And yet, like you just said in your, like, many website or blog post, there's like no black kids in these schools. You know what I'm saying? There's no black kids in their neighborhoods. There's, I used to live in South Jersey for 2 years, Aidan, and it's a wealthy part of right outside Philadelphia.
Burlington, is that what Burlington, or not Camden?
It's next to, so basically Camden, Cherry Hill, Haddonfield, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. I know Cherry Hill. All right.
Yeah. So right next to Cherry Hill. And I'll never forget, I was sitting there at one of my kids' games, and some white guy came up to me, sat down, he goes, I said, hey, he's new to Haddonfield. So what do you think? He goes, well, it's pretty good, but I wish it was more diverse. And I just pointed, well, Camden is literally right there. You could have moved to Camden. You could have had
the worst
you want.
The worst city I've ever been to in my life.
And
I've never seen anything like Camden before.
Ever. Oh, well, yeah.
We don't have any cities like Camden in Massachusetts. We have a lot of bad cities. We have Lawrence, which is probably the worst city in Massachusetts, but I've been to Camden because I went to the DNC in 2016 to interview some Bernie bros, and I stayed right next to Camden. You got to drive through it to get to Philly. And I'm like, Jesus, this is a third world country. Like, this is America. It was crazy being there.
There's literally no stores. Like, you can't go. I mean, you go buy a pack of cigarettes and booze, but there's no stores because people say we gotta go to church. It's nuts. And it's right there. So you take, I take the train into Philly. You see, it's just nuts. And I was like, anyway. So this guy's like, I wish you had more diversity. I said, you could have helped yourself to all the diversity in the world right there. It's ironic how you don't do that. Well, schools and all that. And that's the same thing that you talk about a lot on your blog about. All these, hoity-toity rich white guys are saying, oh, look at me, I'm Black Lives Matter. And yet they're biggest clowns there is, man. Those guys drive me crazy. Those guys that are like I'm thinking of that. So like an Indian girl, and let's just call her a heavyset girl from Maine, who went down to someplace in, I think, New Hampshire that you talked about. And they had a Blue Lives Matter flag or something like that. No, it's a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, or I can't remember.
It was the Gadsden flag. The Gadsden flag. They wanted it banned from the store. I mean, I don't know. All you can do is mock, but that's an example. So for those unfamiliar with that story, that's just one of thousands of blogs I've published, just exposing two random assholes, like two girls who are quite proud of themselves, right? They're social justice warrior extraordinaires, and they feel very good about themselves. These people literally get off. Their currency is on putting other people down by lifting themselves up on a moral platform. And how do they do that? Well, they just call you racist. And they're like, well, what's racist today? The Gadsden flag is racist today. And so instead of just not shopping at that store that's going there, they feel the need to lecture. And if it doesn't go their way, they're going to use social media to blast you. That's bullying. And that's where I draw the line. That is why I don't feel bad making fun of the way she looks. Like, she's a fat, disgusting she heffalump. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not going to say nice things about you. I don't care. I want to hurt you.
Her behavior allows for her behavior is what caused that, because she's a bully.
Look, this is a culture war. The important part of there is war. Yeah. Okay. In war, there is no playing nice with these people. You have to destroy them. You can't get along with people like that. You can't find common ground with people like that. So what you have to do is find out what hurts them and just go at it because they're hurting people. They're hurting small business owners. They're evil. They need to be destroyed. So you're fat. I'm going to talk about how you're fat because you know why? Because I know it hurts your feelings. If you don't want me to hurt your feelings, then shut the fuck up and leave people alone. That's how we fight a war. That's how you fight a culture war. You don't fucking take prisoners. You don't act nice to these people. You don't act civil with them. And that's why people like Donald Trump, because he wasn't civil and he wasn't trying to play nice with these people. Fuck them. They don't want to play nice with you. Why would you ever want to play nice with them?
And even with that, you know that it hurts their feelings because they get so defensive. You see what I'm saying? It's like, now I know you're Achilles heel because
they've disappeared from the internet. Those two people took down their Facebook pages, and that to me is a victory. Goodbye, two assholes off the internet. See you later. I can't. My philosophy of cancel culture is like, you don't cancel me, I cancel you. Okay, I destroy your online presence. I send my mob after you, and now you shut the fuck up. Now it's your turn to get canceled. And that's what I would encourage anybody to do, because conservatives often whine about cancel culture. No. Right. Wrong way to look at it. You have to weaponize cancel culture against them. That you can't go into a gunfight with a knife. You have to use the same weaponry. I'd rather not have cancel culture. Right. But I didn't choose this battlefield. They did. So I'm going to fight that.
The fact that they had to take their social media presence down, you damn well know the next time they go to a store, they're going to be a little bit more respectful. You see what I'm saying? I guarantee it, man.
They'll think twice about going online another time and shaming one, because I'll be watching, and if I see it again, I'll do it again. And if this is how you want to play it, if you always want to be on Turtleboy, millions of people reading it, go ahead.
No, it's good. It's media entertainment. And, the facts are, hey, keep doing it, fools. All right, so you took down that city councilor, like a lawyer who was drinking, did a live stream. He's obviously lit, did a live stream. He was in a liquor store, didn't have his mask on, and he said, he was someplace up your neck of the woods. He goes, we need to hold these restaurants severely accountable for not, doing social distancing and no mask and all this stuff. And there's some lawyer, council guy. He was a council member. He's doing a live stream from his office late at night, like 8 o'clock at night or something like that. And anyway, you had a picture, and you didn't take it, but someone had given it to you that showed him getting a bottle of whiskey or something like that from a liquor store without his mask on. And initially said, "Oh, there's Photoshop." They said, "Well, blah blah blah," and that guy resigned. You remember who I'm talking about there?
Yeah, that's Ed Prisby, who's a small town selectman in this town in Grafton. And I do a lot of stories like that, just on local town hypocrisy, because people like that. That's the stuff that's not going to make Tucker Carlson, because at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit about some selectman from Grafton. Right. But around here, they do. In your local communities, they do. And that's the beauty of Turtleboys. It can spread anywhere because these hypocritical douchebags, they're in your town, right? Yep. They're doing these things. Everyone can relate to the selectman in Grafton who's telling you to wear a mask and is shutting down local businesses. And then he gets caught without a mask on, right? It's Gavin Newsom on a smaller level.
And 100%.
And so you expose him and then he retires. He gets caught red-handed and they'll say, "Oh, Turtleboy." They always try to label you as right-wing as if that's some sort of insult and whatever. I'm like, I'm very conservative, obviously, but that's not my thing. Like, my thing is like, I expose assholes and hypocrites. I can't help the fact that most of them are on the left. I'll expose people on the right. I've done that too. And that's again why people like Tucker, because he goes after conservatives. He goes after Republicans that were like going along with Black Lives Matter this summer, like Senator Braun from Indiana and stuff like that. So
Nikki Haley, man, that's what I'm saying. No Nikki Haley, I tell you, no. But I mean, that's exactly right.
Thank you. No.
But we got to start with the lower people, like you said. And this is what I tell people all the time. I said, look, man, forget the stupid congressional and the president. You got to start with the city council, your precinct. And you, man, I tell you, Aidan, you talked about some chick up in she was a health director, and she's like an insurance adjuster for a hospital, and somehow she was chosen because her husband's a firefighter.
That's in my town. Yeah, that's in my school district. Yeah, and that's another thing. You guys are in Georgia, so your schools have been open for a while, correct?
For the whole time. Well, they've been. We can do what we want, but they've been open the whole time for the most part. Yeah.
So, like, a lot of states are not like that. And so, what people don't realize is it's really not up to your governor. It's really up to your local school committee and your local board of health, who you probably don't even know who's on there because nobody votes in municipal elections. But we've realized with this coronavirus bullshit that like they have more control over you than Barack Obama and Joe Biden could ever dream of having, because they have the ability to decide when your kids go to school and whatnot. And you don't know how the hell they got their job in the school committee, or because you weren't paying attention, because who gives a shit about who's on the board of health? Well, it turns out they have all the power in the world. And I find out that like this woman who's being paraded as this medical expert for our school districts, I look her up. She's a goddamn insurance adjuster. What the hell does she know about healthcare? Yeah, she's an insurance adjuster for a hospital. So that makes her a medical expert because she writes the checks every time a fucking doctor fucks up, basically.
Crazy. But it's worse than that. She got appointed over the guy that was a real doctor, virologist.
Yeah, over an epidemiologist too, in a town of 5,000 people. There probably aren't too many epidemiologists in that town, but their argument was, well, her husband's a firefighter. So if we ever need a fire, we can call her, and then we can call him, and he'll put out the fire, as if they don't have 911 in Paxton.
Oh, I'm reading this stuff. I said, is our country lost, Aidan? I mean, I know the battle is finally somewhat being enjoined. There's, a few guys like you, and I follow Owen Benjamin, and he's been canceling all that, and lots of good guys out there fighting the fight. But man alive, dude, the battle is tough. And what do you think? I mean, how many kids you got?
I have 2 kids.
All right. So to have children, you have to inherently be optimist. And that's what I tell people all the time. I say, look, man, I got 4. You cannot be a pessimist and bring kids. Look at AOC. We're all going to die from climate change. So she doesn't have children, which is probably not a bad thing. But
probably not.
If you're.
Have you seen her boyfriend?
No.
That guy can't get an erection. So they're not having kids. Trust me. No offense. I mean, this guy's the biggest beta male I've ever seen in my life. But go on. I didn't mean to interrupt. That guy can't. No way. At least he's not her brother like Ilhan Omar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, no comment.
It's fun to look, man, I'm not nearly as what you're doing, but I love mocking these guys. It's fun. It cracks me up because they get so like, oh, how dare you? I do a lot more of the climate change stuff because there's so many hypocrites on the climate change. I was mocking a guy today on LinkedIn, as a matter of fact. He says he's a pilot and a tree hugger and it's too much CO2. And I just like, dude, you're such a fool. I said, keep flying your battery powered plane there, big guy, because it's nuts. It's nuts. It's just dumb as rocks.
Climate change. All I'll say about that is there isn't a single person out there over the age of 30 who actually gives a shit about climate change. Nobody, and that includes Democrats. Not a single one of these assholes is waking up in the morning and be like, you know what I'm really scared of? Climate change.
That's huge. You think so? I mean, literally think so?
No, it's all just performative. Like they're going along with it because they're told that like this is something that we care about. Poll after poll, even with Democrats, shows that like that's not even in their top 10 of your average Democratic voter. Nobody gives a shit about climate change, yet every time there's a debate, it's brought up before anything else. Like anybody gives a shit about climate change. Nobody cares. Nobody.
Well, you think then the young generation, those under 30, are you think you have some optimism for them or what? What do you think?
Well, basically, what the reason that younger people care about climate change is because they don't have real problems yet.
Right. But not just the climate change, but optimism that they're going to be, they're going to be the antithesis of the woke mob. I mean, you think there's some optimism there for these folks coming up?
For who?
Like the younger generation, the people under 30. So obviously they haven't been brainwashed enough to fall for the climate change silliness. So I'm hoping maybe they haven't been brainwashed. Maybe there's some hope that they actually have some independent thought, critical thinking skills. I mean, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the problem, okay? And this is a culture war, and we're getting our fucking ass kicked, man. Yeah. People need to wake up and realize that. Like they talk about institutional racism. The only institutional bigotry in this country is anti-conservative institutional whatever. Like that is what you cannot be conservative in advance. Like it's going to hurt you. Think of what the left controls. Okay, the left conservatives. We got talk radio and Tucker. That's about it. Yeah. They got let's see. They got the universities. Yeah. They got the public schools. They got Hollywood. They got TV. They got every major news network except for Fox News. They got freaking everything. They control the corporations now. They control and now they control all 2 out of the 3 branches of the government. So when people really realize that it starts young. The public school thing is a problem. And you need to make sure that you know what is going on. I'm not abandoning the people are like, you should homeschool. You should send your kid to private. Why? I pay taxes, motherfucker. Yeah. I'm sending my kid to public school, and I'm going to hold the public school accountable. If my superintendent writes me some asshole email like he did this summer about George Floyd and how I should lecture my kids about white privilege, I'm not just going to ignore that and whine about it. I'm going to call him up and explain to him why this is to never happen again. We are never to get an email like this again. If I find out my child is learning this garbage in your school, I will be down there. I will be the pain in your ass that leftists, again, are very good at being. They get their way because they are a huge pain in the ass. We have to stop being afraid to be a huge pain in the ass. Be a Karen. Call them up. Be annoying. That's what they do. That's why they win. Fight their tactics. Look at Nancy Pelosi. We always complain about Nancy Pelosi, right? Wrong. We should be modeling ourselves after Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi gets caught without a mask on, and what does she do? She blames the freaking place.
Exactly.
Demands an apology. You have to respect that. You're like, Jesus, and then the media moves on. That's what we need to do. You get caught doing something bad, you're just like, no, you apologize to me instead of apologizing. Such weak bullshit. Oy.
It's crazy because our side's done that. Like, I put a comment on the guys like, Josh, you're not being consistent on your whatever. So, dude, consistency has gone out the door for me many, many moons ago because you show me. I mean, I'll never just the whole thing with the consistency on the left is they'll be consistent whatever it does to gain them power. Their only consistency on the left is trying to get power, and we try to play this straight and narrow. And it said you can't do that anymore.
If you're not trying, and I see a commenter like somebody says in the comments, become what you hate most and win. Yeah. No thanks. Well, have fun losing. That is why the conservative movement loses, is because we have loser soldiers like that who are like, it's okay to lose. Right. Yeah, who cares if the left controls everything? At least I have my principles. Yeah, your principles are worth dick. That's what they're worth as our country goes down the fucking shitter. Yeah. But at least you have your goddamn principles. Oh, please. Yeah. You can go sit on the bench. The conservative fighters are going to be out here fighting for freedom and fighting for free speech, and you can go cry about it with your principles on the bench. I'm going to be fighting, okay? Join me in the fight if you want.
Well, the funny thing is, the people who make that's why Al Sharpton and these guys are so good because it's just a rent-a-mob stuff, man. And no politician, it's water. Water goes to gravity, you know what I'm saying? The path of least resistance. And they say, look, I got a bunch of suburban people busting their butts at work. They're picking up their kids at school. I'm never going to hear from them. But I got Al Sharpton coming up my butt every day. I'll at least – well, that's what happened with here in Georgia. Aidan.
Is what?
Stacey Abrams, dude. She rolled.
She's good. We should be modeling ourselves after Stacey.
100%.
Thank you. There we go.
That guy.
Georgia is a red state. It's been a red state my whole life. It no longer is. Ohio and Florida have quickly become red states.
Yes.
For grabs before, but now North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, those are all kind of blue now. And like we used to, like George Bush won Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado, exactly.
And Virginia. Those are gone for good. You're never getting those two back again. See you later. And
once it goes red, once it goes blue, it's never coming back, man.
This is why we need heavy D Ron DeSantis in 2024, simply because I'm a weird historian. Like I looked back at 1988 election results last night, right? When George H.W. Bush won. And I'm like looking at some of the states this guy won. Like he won Illinois. Imagine a Republican winning Illinois. That's crazy talk. He won California. You couldn't even imagine. And why is that? Well, I mean, I like Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump, but you have to understand, Donald Trump is a polarizing figure, and people will show up not only to vote for him, but to vote against him. Whereas a guy like Ron DeSantis, who literally is pushing the exact same message that Trump is, except he's doing it in a better package that doesn't piss people off as much. And he can just point, like, look at Florida. It's the model for success. It used to 100%. Be the biggest joke in the country. Now it is the model for success. Be like Florida. And DeSantis is the kind of guy that will take Michigan. He will take Minnesota. He will take Maine. He will take all these states that we're never supposed to win. And he will start making in-grounds in places like New Jersey, in places like Connecticut. Like he won't win those states, but he'll come a lot closer than any.
That's 100%, man. Absolutely.
You know,
and we've seen it. I mean, remember they said, the Puerto Ricans after the hurricane went through Puerto Rico and there's no electricity. They said they're all going to swamp Florida and turn that to what's his name, the Democrats. Didn't happen. DeSantis won, and he beat what's his name, Gillum, pretty good, a lot better than the polls said he was dead in the water.
I mean, when's the last time the Democrats won an election in Florida? We've got
exactly
two Republican senators there now. They have, I think they have around, I want to say 25 representatives, and like 16 of them are Republican now. So they've almost taken over. They control the state house there. They've voted for Republicans in the last 2 elections at least, right? Obama won it twice, but Trump also won it, and he won it comfortably in the last one. Like it was over right. And so,
and then off year election, DeSantis won. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. And on top of that, Venezuelans came in, the Puerto Ricans came in, and yet Trump still won.
Well, Venezuelans are coming from anybody who leaves a socialist country left it because they hate socialism.
Absolutely.
And so the Latinos are obviously the fastest growing demographic in America. That is a demographic that conservatives should embrace because there's so much in common. There's the religious aspect. They're very Christian and usually Catholic. They hate socialism and everything and for the most part they come here to work. They just want to work. It's like you enjoy the American dream. So that is a demographic the right should be embracing.
But you know how they embrace it? They don't say any more friggin' tax cuts. The tax cut stuff, we got to, look, I like tax cuts like anybody else. You got to change the freaking, the dialogue, man, and make it more of the working party as opposed to, the Mitt Romney tax cuts, and 47% of the people aren't going to vote for me anyway. Screw up.
That's all we're good for is tax cuts. I like tax cuts, like you said, but like we had control of Congress, the House, the Senate, and the presidency from 2016 to 2018. All we got was a tax cut. Democrats take control. Bro, they're getting shit done immediately. Like, here's a stack of orders. Sign. Everything Trump did was undone in 5 minutes.
No, crazy. And that's the thing. It's like, so we talk tax cuts, but the crazy thing is most people in America don't pay that much of federal income tax anyway because of all the standard deductions and the items and the child care credit. So it's like tax cuts, all right, that might be a couple extra $100. I don't want a tax increase, but DeSantis, those guys are the people that can change the terms instead of just going along to get along. Like, oh, I don't really like Black Lives Matter, but I kind of like their no, screw all that, man. Just say, no, this is I'm stoked for DeSantis, man. I really am. But again, going back to there's
other issues too. There's like Republican with the younger generation needs to focus on is like, first of all, we need to do something about social media. That is a huge problem. That's a big reason that Joe Biden won last year. Is because they control social media. They were able to crush the Hunter Biden story using their powers with big tech. They were able to get rid of Parler because they all came together and just got rid of the only social media platform that conservatives actually can use and be free on. And if we don't do something about this, because Republicans, quite frankly, there's too many old fogies in the Senate who don't. You think Lindsey Graham understands how any of this shit works? You got rid of David Perdue. Do you think David Perdue understood how any of this works? No. That might have been a blessing in disguise.
I think so, man.
Because Warnock is an asshole.
But we know who's going to might run now, right?
Who? Tell me, Doug Collins,
Herschel Walker.
Well, he's never run before though.
No, dude, it's Herschel Walker.
It is. I know it's Georgia, so obviously.
Oh, jeez, a black guy from just Herschel Walker. I was just like
that. No, it's obviously a big name, but I don't know if Senate's it's tough.
Well, we got 2 clowns right now in Senate for Georgia. This guy John, but be that as it may, is at the end of the day, they got to shift the agenda. I just say freaking attack corporate America to top the monopolies, like you were saying with social media. Say we're going to be like the trust busters, like Teddy Roosevelt, man.
Right. Conservatives have become the party of the working class, and Democrats have become the party of corporate America. Every major corporation now is woke, and they go with that. And we need to keep driving that home. Even like people like my senator, like Elizabeth Warren today, she's out there. They're doing fundraisers for Gavin Newsom for his recall. Like you're Elizabeth Warren. You're like, I'm against this big corporate America, and here you are raising money for this Ken doll in California who shut the whole state down and is going out and eating $400 meals at the French Laundry.
That's that right there is the epitome of the Democrat. There's a guy in here on our channel right now from Lynn, Massachusetts. You ever heard of Lynn?
Oh, I've been there. Lynn, City of Sin.
So he's a working class white guy, and he's a Biden guy because he's a union guy, but he's not a lib. You see what I'm saying? His name's Sean Mann, and I said, Sean, he's like, I'm voting for. I said, damn, man. And so there's a guy like that we need to get those guys over, and we did,
and we got more union voters than they have ever before because like my blue collar union friends who have been voting Democrat their whole life, they're like, yeah, like. We're Democrats. It's what we are. We're in a union. But at the same time, it's like unions are working class people. Yes. And the Democrats are no longer the party of the working class. They're the party of the woke bullshit. Like, you think any of these people like want to see their daughters get beat by transgender athletes? That's the cultural shit that the left is pushing that we need to embrace because it's so unpopular. Like, Trump should have just his whole campaign should have been like, boys cannot play girls' sports. Who would disagree with that?
But no, he wanted to go after Joe Scarborough.
Joe Scarborough and Mike and John Bolton and these people who don't matter. Like, why is Trump reading the New York Times? Why is Trump watching Saturday Night Live? Like, why are you watching these leftist-controlled bullshit? You know,
why
they
are you
don't
on Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. Like
John says, ask Turtleboy, how is Steve LeVine? You know who Steve LeVine is?
Oh God, yeah. That's not really a political story. Do you know who he is? That was there's this guy. So his house got robbed. This guy in Shrewsbury, town next to Worcester. His house gets robbed. And he's on the news and he's like, a guy came into my house and like threatened me and put me down on the ground, all this shit. I'm like, it's a nice town too. I'm like, and they're like, they were black and Hispanic. And I'm like, not many black and Hispanic people in this town. So like, you're basically, if you're black or Hispanic in Shrewsbury right now, the cops are going to think you're up to some shit. And so I'm like, something doesn't smell right about this. So I know Steve. I used to tutor his son, and he was my realtor. So I texted him. I'm like, everything all right? I'm like, I highly doubt this was random. A home invasion? They're never random. And he's like, basically, like, was real short with me. And so then I find out that this guy is like a dominatrix. He's into the kinky shit, whips, change, all that stuff. And he's got sex slaves. So he's got a house full of like runaway teen girls that are like 19, 20. And he basically, he's got all the pictures on these various websites of them, you know, like doing torture and shit like that, like wild shit. And that's why his ass got robbed, because I guarantee it had something to do with the house. He called it the House of Many Comes. That was the name of the house, the House of Many Comes. So that's Steve LeVine. Not really political, but.
Oh my goodness. Well, you did a one too with that, some black guy trying to be transgender with young girls, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I have court with him in 2 days. He's trying to get a restraining order against me.
Against you?
Big Black Jeffrey, yeah.
Yeah, Big Black Jeffrey. He's trying to get a restraining order against you?
He's trying to, yeah.
See, this, folks, this is why Aidan and Turtleboy, same guy, but he's taking on people that might seem like below you, but these are where, remember, a culture rises from the bottom. It comes up and spreads its ugly veins throughout society. And there's so many just scumbags out there that are doing bad things under the cover of darkness. And next thing you know, they're in prominent roles. And it's crazy. And Turtleboy is saying, well, let's call you out for having underage girls here, man, and defend yourself. Now the guy's like, well, he's trying to back it up. And because he was never told no before. And
right.
I mean, people can watch TV Daily News, or they should, by all means, and watch Aidan's YouTube channel, Turtleboy Sports on YouTube. But what I'm saying is someone's got to do it. And Aidan's doing it. So he's calling these people on the mat, said, if you come across my radar screen, I'm calling you out. And you've never had that kind of pushback before. And you're not going to like it because it's going to call you out for the scumbag you are. Sad thing is Aidan gets censored all the time. And as such, he's like PayPal. Tell folks how PayPal censored you.
So I'm banned from PayPal.
PayPal. You can't get
PayPal. I can't use PayPal. I can't use Venmo either because PayPal owns them. So that sucks. I can't even create a new account because they link it to your computer. I don't know what technology they have to link it. So PayPal's out of the question. They wouldn't explain why. They just said I'm banned. Okay. I'm banned from Twitter. I had to buy a new computer just to get on Twitter and use a different Wi-Fi in order to get on there. I got around the ban, but my original computer, I can't get on Twitter. I had to buy a new phone. Facebook, I can jump on Facebook periodically. Like I'm suspended 30 days right now, but I had a page with 112,000 people. That was zucked in 2017. I've lost over 50 pages since then. I build them up to about 30,000. They get taken down. So this is just my life, and I could whine about it and I can cry about it, or you can just keep going and keep fighting because people want that. People don't want to see you give up and whine. They want to see you fight, come back. Like people are like, why don't you leave Facebook? Because I have a right to be on Facebook, because platform access, get it through your heads. Platform access is a civil right. There's this idea in we're Republicans that like, well, we can't regulate private companies. Fuck yes, we can.
Yes, absolutely.
Conservatives now need to start weaponizing the government and using it for conservative to push conservative agendas forward, or else what are we doing here?
Well, but it takes money because, you still got a house to pay. You still got a car to, you still got kids to feed. And that's where I was hoping that people would say, hey, look, man, I'm a financial planning channel, but I get into other stuff too because I just do whatever I want to do. And, people don't have to like it. It's fine. That's what makes it great. People can say, that guy's a scumbag. I don't like him or not. It's frankly up to them. But it takes financing for this stuff, people. And the interesting thing is we know for a fact the left is I tell you, I got nothing but respect. The left takes care of their own. That's a fact, man. They take care of their own.
They are a well-run machine. They know what
shock troops. No, they do it.
And you know what they do with problems? Like Tulsi Gabbard was a problem because she came after Kamala last summer. And you know what they do with problems? They eliminate them. They call them Russians and they kick them out of the party. And we need to start doing that with our problems, like Mitt Romney.
Someone just said that. Someone just said we need to kick Mitt Romney out.
Right. Like that's what we need to do. And and Liz Cheney, like people like that, like 145 to 65, they voted not to expel her. Like, why? Why is Liz Cheney in the party still?
Dude, the Democrats would have been on you like white on rice if you would have stood up against freaking Obama. I was going to say, but so it takes money, but it takes guts too. So let's talk about the MC. Are you up against it? You got a couple more minutes there?
I got a couple more minutes. Shoot.
So this crazy lady, Monica, whatever her name is, so let me put some background story here, and I just because from what I know, and again, it turns out I've only been following you since freaking April, I guess. So Aidan, it's freaking crazy. He goes to a rally of Monica Cary Grant. Is that her name or something like that?
Well, yeah. So first, the background: Monica Cannon Grant is the leader. Is the leader of Black Lives Matter Boston, and she's whenever there's a rally or something, the Boston Globe turns for her. She's like their token Black Lives Matter spokesperson. Even though a lot of people in the Black community don't like her because she's so ratchet and like vile. And she campaigned for Rachel Rollins, the district attorney of Suffolk County, and Ayanna Pressley, who's obviously from the squad. And so she's like well known. And I find this video of her, a black woman's running against Ayanna Pressley for Congress. Yeah. And so she's obviously supported by a lot of white people because let's face it, there's a lot of white people in the Republican Party. And so she decides to make this a race thing, Monica Cannon Grant does, and puts this video out in which she literally threatens to blow her fucking head off and accuses her of the woman's Rayla's husband is white. And so she accused her of riding white penis for a credit score. And kept saying like you are melanin adjacent if you have interracial marriages and stuff like that. And so I get a hold of this video and I put it out there and it goes viral, obviously. Right. And so this woman gets grant money from the city, all this shit. She's like, and so you know what I'm going to do? The Boston Globe's not writing about this. I'm going to make this woman's life fucking hell. I'm going to go down to her nonprofit headquarters with a megaphone and I am going to blast her own words over the megaphone onto there. She holds a rally at the Boston police station. I show up at it first and I give a press conference to the media. And then we go and we just drown her out with her own words. And she hates it. She'll call me a racist, but guess what? I love when people say that. They're like, oh, you must have me confused with one of those people that you can use that word against effectively. I'm immune to that word. I got the racist vaccine. You can call me that all you want. It just bounces right off of me. It doesn't mean shit. You're gonna have to try a little better.
But but you did a video where you're down there and there's some guys that look, they don't look happy. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nope. There's a couple guys coming. There's one that you made a point of. He kind of walked away, anyway, I just remember said,
he came around back.
Yes. I said, that guy does not look like he's in a good place mentally. Like he's going to come out. And I say, here's Aidan. He's got, I don't know how many other people, not that many. I said, you guys got guts, freaking, I tell you, man, balls of steel. And I'm sitting there thinking, how does this guy do that? And yet the facts are it's effective. It's effective because, well, it's effective to the fact that Monica knows that,
Monica's never had anybody fight back against her.
Exactly. That's it. Because
everyone's does.
Racist.
And like her usual ammo of just calling people racist, she's like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? I call people racist and they shut up. This guy's not shutting up. He keeps showing up on my shit. He's costing me money. The grants are no longer coming in. And yeah, that's the way it's going to be in the future. You can whine about
the grants actually stopped a little bit?
Oh, definitely. I'm quite positive that some have decided to distance themselves.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. But it takes money, it takes time, it takes energy. And I'm just trying to tell my conservative friends, look, man.
And it's a leftist tactic. I'm adopting a leftist tactic.
Exactly.
I am holding a rally to protest your hate speech. And I'm calling you racist now. I'm
and
the
they,
one
like you said, they don't
racist.
know what to do. They're like, wait a second. This usually works.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, I'm the one that calls people racist. And it's like, I show up for Rayla. She's a black woman. She gives me a little cred. You know what I mean? I show up there, like I say, like, you're calling her horrible things. You're against interracial marriage. You Nazi, you hate speech bigot. And you just yell it at them and it feels fun. And you understand why they do it. And then if any company or corporation is donating to them, I got a mob. I got mobs too. We'll send a mob after you. We'll give you all 1-star reviews. We'll see how you like it. And eventually they will quit. And you got to use it. This is how cancel culture works. You got to use their tactics, people.
But first of all, you've got to say, yeah, call me racist. That's so 20 years ago. You got to take the racist vaccine because it says, look, if you're not a racist, you don't need to say some of my best friends are black. You don't need to say I went to a black school. Just stop. Just say, okay, whatever.
They're not going to be impressed by that.
Right?
That's not going to win them over. Like they don't actually even think you're racist. They're just interested in calling you that. So like they actually thrive off whatever you do. If you're called racist, don't say, no, I'm not.
Right.
I have black friends. Don't say that. Just like, no. You're a racist. And you're a pedophile too.
Right.
Since we're making shit up, since you like, I heard you fuck little boys.
Right.
Stop fucking little boys. Yeah, quit it.
Prove it. Where were you? 4 years ago during the Patriots game? Where were you?
Prove that you've never had sex with a little boy. Prove it right now. You can't. Of course you can't. A pedophile, and you just call them pedophiles. That's what I do.
But please, for the love of the good Lord, don't say some of my best friends are black. I mean, that was like I'm probably a little bit older than you. I'm 50, and that's from like when in the 80s. That's what white people would say when they're trying not to be racist. I just like don't please. That's so old.
You're right. It doesn't work.
But that's the issue. A lot of whites are so afraid of that term still, and I think it's starting to turn a little bit finally. And
it also puts you on the defensive. You never want to be on the defensive. You always want to be on the offensive.
Which is what makes this whole thing with Monica so great, because she's like, holy crap, not only does my tactics not work, but they're being used against me. And they hate to say it, but they're friggin' true. You are a racist, Monica.
She is a racist. Like, she has a genuine problem with interracial marriage. She thinks that, like, black women, I feel like she's just seen black guys go for white women many times, and I think it makes her angry. She's like, what's wrong with me? Well, girl, for one thing, you're about 280 pounds. You suck at life, and you never shut the fuck up. That's why people don't like you, not because you're black.
Now, was she at the Fenway Park? Or some of those ladies were at the Fenway Park, like recognized in Fenway, or the Red Sox, or even the Bruins, or something like that. Was that her?
Yeah, I mean, she was been recognized by the Celtics and the Bruins as like a hero amongst us because, again, they don't do the research, and they're just like, they say, okay, well, Black Lives Matter is hot this month. Again, corporate America. And they're like, okay, who's the leader of Black Lives Matter Boston? Who is it? This woman, Monica? Okay, yeah, let's make her the hero of the month. Yeah, she'll do. They don't do that
simple, Aidan, that they're just really, I mean, you just think
they need a black person. That's all they need. They need a black figurehead. And they're like, okay, who's the leader? Monica Cannon Grant. Okay, whoever she is, just give her a freaking award. There you go. That's all they don't do the research. They don't care. They don't care who they're giving the award to.
Now, you talk heavily about Florida. Are you ever going to leave Massachusetts, or
I would love to move to Florida, but I mean, I just got roots here, man. That's my problem is family. Like, I would get up if I was just a single dude. I would have been left Massachusetts by now. I probably would have moved to like I like the Dallas Fort Worth area, or I've never been to Tampa, but I've been to I've been to Orlando, I've been to Jacksonville. I've never been to Georgia, believe it or not.
It's hot as balls in the summertime and humid, man. I tell you, Virginia, that's about perfect.
Too liberal.
Yeah, but you go to Western Virginia, freaking.
Oh yeah, okay, the rural Virginia. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So I will get out here in just a second, but you talked about having depression and stuff like that. Just share, because I don't have that, but I do know a lot of people who've been addicted to alcohol, drugs now, and I've known some people OD and stuff. And there's something not quite clicking there for some folks. That it doesn't mean it's not. It just means I don't know what that causes that. But I have 4 children, and I'm always worried. Like, how did you know that you had it? Have you always had it? How do you and I take Lexapro. I get no qualms telling people that because it's an antidepressant, which I freaking love, but. How did you first come to be that, there's something in your head that you said, I can't start clicking today. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to be too personal. I think it's such an important thing.
Yeah. I mean, well, I tried to hurt myself. So that was kind of a giveaway that
were you drunk or anything when you did that, or?
No, I was dead. I don't drink really. So I was just.
You just come home drunk as a skunk and say, I'm going to, kill
myself. And that's what all the therapists are always asking. Like, do you drink? I'm like, no, this is not. Like I don't drink to solve problems. I don't really drink much in general. And so there was just a lot of shit compounding in my life, my personal life, and how work kind of works into that, if you will. A lot of shit was going on. And quite frankly, there was 1 or 2 people there that were really toxic in my life. And I just needed to eliminate those people from my life because they provide no value to me or anything like that. Because afterwards, after the incident, after I tried to hurt myself, I didn't tell anybody about it. I was ashamed. I didn't know what to, what I mean? It was too awkward. I'm like, how do you tell somebody that you tried to kill yourself? Like, how do you even bring that up in conversation? And so for the next couple of days, my line of work, you got to always have your game face on. You always got to be ready to go and stuff like that, and be chipper and ready to fight. And so Monday and Tuesday come around, and I didn't have the fight in me, man. I was so depressed, and I had such anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. And I couldn't work. And eventually I just had to write a blog about how I couldn't work. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not putting out content. I just can't. I'm dealing with mental health issues. And I'm glad I wrote that because so many people reached out and made me feel that I'm not the only one dealing with this. And they felt the same way. They're I've felt alone in my struggles with mental health. And I watched your show, and then I realized that you made me feel that I'm not alone in this. And it's okay to feel this way, and it's normal. And to talk about it is actually therapeutic and helps. And I think that's the biggest thing is people are afraid to talk about it.
Yeah,
I went a couple days there without talking about it too. And once I started talking about it, the road to recovery begins.
Have you ever felt that way before, growing up or anything like that, or just hit you one day? You know what I'm saying? Or
I've never tried to kill myself before. I've been depressed, you know what I mean? And I've been sad. I mean, everybody's felt that way before, but I've never had it just completely take over your mind like that. It's hard to explain. I had a legitimate panic attack. Never had one of those before. Didn't know what to do. And I was alone, which was a big problem. I didn't reach out. I mean, I only reached out to 1 or 2 people, and it was the wrong people to reach out to because they actually made it much, 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 much worse. And and then afterwards I realized I'm I could have called this person. I could have called this person, and they would have been so much better,
When you say they made it much worse, can I ask you, were they saying, hey, just button up, or, what were they? And you don't have to give the I'm just curious, so that way, if someone reaches out to us, we know not to be those people.
You're annoying me. That's what one want to say. You're annoying. You're being annoying right now. I'm trying to get ready to go out. Why are you bothering me with this? Just stop it. Stop it. Snap out of it. Their exact words were I'm going to strangle you. If you know what I mean? And I said, I'm okay, well then I guess I'll do that. That was my revenge. It was just okay, fine, fuck you. And, just be careful who you trust. That's all I got to say.
So would they, I'm just curious, you've never done this before. So it wasn't you've been, for 30 years saying, hey, I'm going to do it this time. And this is, you know what I'm saying? And when you reached out to them, dude, get over it, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're annoying me, and you're like, what the hell? You know, I mean, this is my time of need, and you're friggin'
I mean, I don't know if they just thought I was full of shit, or you know what I mean? Like, maybe people hear that and they're like, "Oh, dude, relax, like, chill out." Like, they think like, no, like, if anybody ever says it to you, you should take it seriously. Like, that's all I'm gonna say about that. You should take them seriously. You should, especially if they've never said it to you before.
That's where I'm going with that. Exactly. If they just out of the blue like that, man, that's some serious crap right there. You better friggin' stop what you're doing and find out what's going on. You might not get another chance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and just be careful about the people that you let into your lives, the people that you think you're close to, because oftentimes they're not who you think that they are. And just be careful, because you know the people you should trust the most are your family, first and foremost, and because they'll and your good friends. You know, your good friends that have been there for a long time and whatnot. So.
Well, it's interesting, Aidan. One of the things that helped me a lot after I just got rid of stuff that pisses me off. I said, this stuff pisses me. Like, what I like about your blog is it cracks me up. It makes me laugh. And I also I kind of like the revenge of seeing some of these clowns, fall on their face. That makes me happy. But, they're like, just some of this, like, I don't read Breitbart anymore because it just pissed me off. I was like, like, I'm on the right, but I'm sick of being a whiny, like, oh, it's all falling apart. So I stopped it. I feel better. It's crazy.
It is. Like, the more you think about like the state of the country, the more that it honestly
depressing.
And all you can do is just live your life the way that you want to live it. And take care of your kids and your family and make sure that they're raised right. Because that's when you have a real problem. If your kid grows up that's like one of my worst fears. My kid grows up to be like a social justice warrior. Then I'm like, because I love you, but I hate everything else about you.
My biggest thing is one of them grows up to be a freaking zombie, a meth head or a heroin addict or something. I've known a lot of people like that, and it's just sad. You're like, dude, you used to be such a spark of life, and now you're literally a zombie, and then they're dead. You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest fear. Now,
they do bad things. They steal. They hurt.
They don't give a shit.
They're not themselves. They're not.
They're literally not. Then they'll take from you. They'll rob from you. They don't care because they need that. I mean, they're zombies. Literally, they need those brains, and so they'll do whatever they have to get. It's scary. All right, my friends, so this has been fantastic. We're so TB Daily News, we got that. And I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Facebook, so tell folks where they can find you there if you would.
Yeah, I mean, we got a page, Turtleboy Sports, on Facebook. I'm on Twitter for now. I'm at Dr. Turtleboy because, like Jill Biden, I would like to be referred to as a doctor, even though I'm not. At Dr. Turtleboy. You can follow me. I'm on Parler if anybody uses that, at Turtleboy, and I have a YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe to that. I go live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night at 9:00. It's Turtleboy Sports. Search for it on there. And yeah, that's how you can find it.
And the fun thing about Aidan when he goes live on his YouTube channel is that he'll go over the blog post he did the previous week and give some commentary, which is pretty fun because you read these blog posts like, what the hell? And then you just got to hear the commentary. It's pretty fun. And then just real quick, how the hell do you know Brett from? I mean, who's this? He cracks me up, but who's Brett and how'd you all hook up?
So Brett's my Saturday night co-host simply because he was a commenter. He's been a commenter on the Facebook page for years, since like 2014. And he was so outrageous and ridiculous. Like, he was just a funny commenter for a couple of years. And then I'm like, I got to meet this guy. I got to talk to this guy. So I started doing live streams in like 2017. And I'm like, I need somebody to join me. So Brett lived like half an hour from me. I went to his house. He guzzled like a 12-pack in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, whoa, this guy's something else. And it was just, we hit it off. We had a good rapport, and he's kind of been my sidekick since.
Oh man, he's just a guy. I mean, just you guys, man, are awesome. You guys you take no prisoners. You don't care, and Brett doesn't care. And it's just it's a breath of fresh air, dude. I love it, and I know we'll have to keep chasing you down wherever you get banned because the banning, hell, they'll probably ban us both from this video because you have to be on here, but. Keep fighting the good fight, brother. And again, anyone who wants to donate to old Aidan, please do for sure. He's got a donate thing on there, and you should because he's fighting the good fight. And frankly, a lot of people don't have this. They don't have the ability to do that. He does. So make sure you fund him if you can. If nothing else, subscribe to his YouTube channel and his other places. You're the man, Aidan. Appreciate you being here, brother.
Thanks for having me on, Josh. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. See you, buddy. Bye-bye.